The abomination clone is defeated.
Wow.
A few days ago then on the channel I put up a guide for Kate Bishop. It was the Wave of Arrows guide, and it was all about utilising a particular item to really put your damage numbers through the roof. Now there was two variants actually offered you could do in this guide, but for a bit of fun what I'm actually going to be showing off today is if you combine both of those variants, what end result you actually get. You get what we started off the beginning of the video with, so each Wave of Arrow with this particular setup could be doing in the region of 300,000 damage. It will probably do a lot more than that, to be honest, because I don't actually have the gear optimised. Now, it is one of these builds you do see going round at the moment, but it's very much a bursty one because you use the Nornstones and they've got their 5-minute cooldown, so it's not one where you can't consistently get 300,000 damage every second. I don't think any hero would be able to do that, but you can't get that every second. But when it comes to bosses you can get it, which is nice because I believe a lot of us were under the impression that Kate had sustained damage, but this shows that she can have burst damage under the right circumstances as well. So before we do jump in, break it all down, if you're enjoying the content on the channel, take the time to hit the like, share and subscribe button and leave a comment, because comments really do help drive engagement. But let's dive in and let's break all this down. So we'll start off by showing the gear first. Once I've done this, I'll very quickly run over one or two of the perks that are important, and then at the end we'll go through the gameplay we showed off at the start of the video. I'll go through it nice and slow and I'll break down the rotation we're using. So if you've recently watched the guide video, some of this will be familiar, but we're really pulling together the three elements here that allow you to get that amazing burst damage that you've seen. Now, one of the first areas we look at will be your positive and negative status effects, how you actually get them. So on your slot 1, what you are looking for, it has to be the middle perk. It has to be power attacks afflicting a warm or cold status effect. It'll be the opposite one of what you've got in your slot 2, but it has to be power attacks, because when you hold down your heavy attack button with Kate, she'll actually fire out demo charges. If you tap it, you can fire multiple of them, and then you can actually remotely detonate them by holding down L2 and pressing light attack. So that generates one of your status effects for you, and it gets you on the road to getting your battery effect. In regards to the gear as well, I'll quickly mention that I personally go for Resolve and Precision. I feel it's really important to get Resolve and not just try and go full glass cannon with like Precision and Valor, because we'll have the cloning lab early next year, so you're going to need some health. But that's the slot 1, and that will help you get your battery effect. You can also go for this perk here, Overcharge Flare. That can work really nice because you'll have close to 100% crit chance with this setup for the short duration when you do have it. Looking at your slot 2, I've not got a great item here, but it's got your damage buff on your ranged crit attack. That procs very often with Scatter Arrow. It seems that each arrow can independently proc it, to be honest. You've then got your second perk. This is where you'll use the opposite status effect on Scatter Arrows from what you're using in slot 1. So this gives you your battery effect, so you're doubling your damage from this. Skipping past the slot 3, there's nothing really important here. The slot 4, I've mentioned this in the past 2 videos, but it's so important, that's why I'm mentioning it again. Potentially the best item in the game, and that was the name of one of the videos I've done for it. It's the Archer's Charm, so it drops from the Elite Hives, this one. The perk you're looking for is Disruptor Extension, so that perk increases the duration of disruption effect on enemies by 3 seconds and reduces enemy defense by 30%. Now you'll actually be doing round about 130% additional damage when you're using this. So far we have the battery effect for double damage, we have the disruption effect for your extra 130% damage. Looking at your ISOs, I just go for precision at the moment, and then the final part of the puzzle here to getting this burst damage is your Sacred Nornstone. Yes, it's got a high 5-minute cooldown, but as mentioned, the setup I'm showing off is how you can burn down a boss really quick with her, and you'll be using this as well, and I'll talk about the rotation of it in just a second. But let me quickly show off the disruption arrow now, just for anyone that's unsure how this works. So this is a Disruptor Arrow here. It is a ranged power attack. You'll essentially use your Razor Arrows and then you just hold them down and aim and charge it, and that'll give you the Disruptor Arrow. So it applies a disruption debuff To any target hit by the arrow, the debuff lasts for 6 seconds, that's increased to 9 with the Archer's Charm, and it increases the range crit attack chance from any source by 25%. So with your damage buff up, with your inherent crit chance, with the Nornstones up as well in this, you're looking at 100% crit chance essentially for it, which is absolutely amazing. Also, I'll quickly show just here, in regards to your range setup, you want to use these two perks. You want to use True Shot and you want to use Archer's Prowess. It allows you to fire more arrows with Scattershot and pull them closer together as well. So with those arrows you seen earlier on, they were doing 60,000 each, so essentially when you're using Archer's Prowess, it's giving you an extra 120,000 damage from one perk, which is absolutely amazing. But let's jump in now. We've ran over like exactly the 3 different elements you need to get the burst damage. Let me just show you the rotation you want to use now. So what I'll do now then is I'll take you through the gameplay footage and I'll actually pause it after each different stage of the rotation. Now the first stage that we're showing off at the moment, this is where you're proccing your status effect via that melee slot 1, so that's the power attack. It was a demo charge, so you hold down your heavy attack button, you then tap it and you'll fire up to 4 arrows. In the particular rotation I've done here, you need to do 2 of them. 1 won't be enough, 4 arrows won't be enough, but in this particular rotation, one of the arrows decided to go for the turret up the top right instead, so we got 7 arrows in total, but we don't want to detonate them just yet. So what we go for next here will be your disruptor arrow. So you hold down your L2 and your R2 to actually charge that up, and then when you fire this off you will have the 9-second duration on it, and you'll see the red icon. It's hard to see with all the gamma explosions going on at the moment. You can just slightly see the red icon is above his head at the moment. So what we want to do now is we want to apply the Nornstone buff, and we want to get our status effect damage on him as well. That's one of the status effects, the one coming from the demo arrows. So I slightly mess up the rotation. What I do is I detonate the demo arrows, then I use the Nornstone, but you're probably better using the Nornstone first, because then that'll get you up to the 100% crit rate, and then if you detonate those 7 demo arrows, they'll actually do a ton of damage as well. This final stage here now, you've got your double damage coming from your positive and negative status effects, you've got your extra 130% damage coming from the disruptor, you've got your Nornstone that provides you with, I believe it's 35% crit and an extra 60% damage, and when you're firing off your Scattershot arrows as well, you can actually see that we've got the damage buff going up there as well. So yeah, you can see all these damage numbers up on screen at the moment. So it is 60,000 per arrow, 5 arrows are hitting them, so that's 300,000, and you're firing these off roughly probably once every second. So yes, it is for a short duration, but even still 300,000 damage per second for a few seconds is really pretty nice. And especially again, as mentioned, on a character we didn't really believe she could get bursty damage, but it looks like she certainly can. But let me know if you've been running any different setups in the comments below and how you've got on with them, and if you're running this setup, let me know how high you can push your damage numbers, because I actually need a whole lot more gear on her. But as always, I hope the video's been helpful. Thanks for tuning in. I'll have another Kate Bishop video out tomorrow focusing on her gear and where you farm it all, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for tuning in, stay safe, I'll see you all again soon.